Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into something called data modeling. And I know, it sounds super technical, but it's actually all about one thing. How do we take just a mountain of information and organize it so we can actually make sense of it all? Let's kick things off with a simple example to show you exactly why this is so important. Seriously, just think about your favorite big box store for a second. Every single day, they're logging millions of sales. And each sale has a ton of info tied to it, right? Who bought it, what they bought, when, for how much. It's just this massive ocean of data. So how do you possibly get from all that chaos, to a clear insight that helps the business? Well, that's the exact problem we're going to solve today.
And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to break this down into 4 easy parts. First, we have to understand the basic building blocks of any good data model. Then, we'll look at the 2 main blueprints people use, the super simple Star and the more complex Snowflake. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the final verdict on which one you should be using today.
Okay, so before we can build a house, we need to know the difference between bricks and wood, right? Same thing here. In the world of data modeling, our materials are 2 things: facts and dimensions. First up, we've got the fact table. You gotta think of this as the absolute heart of your data universe. It's where all the action is recorded. Every single sale, every website click, every login, that's a fact. It's the verb in our data story. It tells us what happened. So whenever you hear fact table, I want you to picture numbers and events. Think of a cash register ringing up a sale. It's all about the numbers, the metrics, the stuff that's constantly changing as new events happen. But a number by itself is pretty useless. A sale happened? Okay, great, but who bought it? What did they buy? Where and when did it happen? That's where dimension tables come into play. They give us all that juicy, descriptive context. They're the nouns of our story: the customer, the product, the location. Exactly. Think of dimension tables as the encyclopedia or the magnifying glass for your data. They hold all the descriptions you need to understand the story behind the numbers. And unlike facts, they don't change very often, right? A product's name is its name. It's pretty stable. So here's the absolute key takeaway for this part. Facts are the numbers, the verbs, the things that change all the time. Dimensions are the descriptions, the nouns, the context that changes pretty slowly. You absolutely need both to tell the full story. All right, now that we've got our building blocks sorted, let's look at our first blueprint for putting them together. And this one is my personal favorite, the elegant and incredibly powerful Star Schema. The entire philosophy behind the Star Schema is right here. Simplicity equals speed. The goal is to keep the structure so clean, so intuitive, that getting answers from your data is just lightning fast. And you can see why it's called a star. It's so visual. You put your fact table, your sales, smack dab in the center. Then each dimension table, customers, products, time, connects directly to that center, just like the points of a star. One hop to get any piece of context. It's simple, it's direct, it's clean. Now, the real beauty of this design is pure performance. Because there are so few connections, or joins as they're called, your queries are ridiculously fast and super easy to write. This is a dream for modern tools like Tableau or PowerBI. Now, there is one small downside. You might have some data that's repeated, which takes up a little more storage space. Keep that in mind.
Okay, so let's check out the competition. Our second blueprint was designed specifically to solve that one storage problem we just mentioned. Welcome to the Snowflake Schema. Yeah, the entire reason the Snowflake Schema even exists was to tackle that one little con of the Star Schema: storage. See, back in the day, computer storage was crazy expensive. So some very smart engineers came up with a clever way to save space, but as you'll see, it came with a pretty big trade-off. And this is what we mean. You see how it explodes outward? You start with a dimension, like product. But then it gets split. The basic product info is in one table, but then its category is in a totally separate table, which then connects to maybe a supplier table. Those nice clean points of the star start to, snowflake out into these complicated branches. And that means a simple question now requires multiple hops to get an answer. So the trade-off becomes crystal clear, right? On the one hand, yes, you do save some storage space by not repeating text. That's a pro. But in exchange, your queries become way more complex, and this is the big one, much, much slower. Because the computer now has to do all those extra hops just to piece the story back together. And that brings us to the final showdown. When you really get down to it, it all boils down to one simple question.
In today's world, what do you care about more? Blazing fast speed or saving a little bit of space?
I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the modern reality. In the modern era, storage is cheap, but fast answers are priceless. Think about that. 30 years ago, the exact opposite was true. Storage was the expensive part, but today, businesses need insights now. The game has completely changed. And if we look at the tail of the tape, it's not even a close fight. When it comes to simplicity, Star Schema wins. Query speed, Star Schema wins by a knockout. The only, and I mean only, category where Snowflake has an edge is storage use. And as we just said, that's just not the big deal it used to be. So, after weighing all the evidence, for anyone working with modern data analytics, there is a clear and obvious and undisputed champion: the Star Schema. I mean, this chart says everything you need to know. The massive, massive advantages you get in query speed and simplicity just completely dwarf the tiny, minor importance of saving a little disk space. It's not even a contest. All right, so after all that, if you're going to walk away from this explainer remembering just one thing, what should it be? It's this. If you are using modern tools like PowerBI, Tableau, or anything like them, the choice is simple. You have to prioritize speed. You have to prioritize clarity. You choose the Star Schema. It is, without a doubt, the foundation for getting those fast, priceless answers from your data.